What's up everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So today we're going to be talking about Gotham Knights in regard to its pre-order details, sales, and potential of this game in the market right now. So here are a few things that we want to pretty much point out. There have been a lot of different video game successes in the past few years. When I say few years, I want to point, say, maybe to somewhere around 2018 using Spider-Man, the PlayStation 4 version, to kind of set this particular starting point. And then we're going to look through some other video game successes, and we're going to be able to weigh and see if we think, as a community of gamers, that Gotham Knights will be able to withstand the pressure or even surpass these expectations or maybe even meet them after release. Now, some of you may wonder, this is a quite peculiar topic, especially for a channel that's dedicated to Gotham Knights. But one thing that we have agreed to do in this community is that we'll try our best to be fans, but not necessarily fanboys in a sense, or fangals, and lose our minds when we're just pretty much hyping up the game. We want to try our best to be as fair as we possibly can and have a balanced take. Even though many of us are still going to go ahead and buy the game, we still want to be very realistic so that it reduces disappointment, or at least when expectations are surpassed, it makes it much more ecstatic in a sense. So Spider-Man 2018 eventually surpassed the Arkham games as one of the highest selling superhero games of all time, especially including the fact that it was actually an exclusive to one particular platform. I think this was a really huge feat for this game to achieve because there was so much that was actually put into it. Simple enough, the game took a lot of its inspiration from the Arkham games. Spider-Man is a very beloved character, even though for those of us that are Batman fans, I don't necessarily know how much of us are in that particular space where we appreciate both games. But there are people who enjoy both of them. But you're going to see back and forth that Spider-Man seems to get a lot more publicity, just also because of the way things are handled. Sony handles Spider-Man, which they got a lot of the licenses for, while the Marvel franchises, are with Disney now. But it really allows for these two huge major corporations to pump in money behind him because he's not necessarily jam-packed with everything else that, say, Disney or Warner Brothers have in terms of, say, like all of the DC superheroes and then all of the other, or most of the other Marvel superheroes in terms of the Disney side. And so that particular kind of performance for that game stemmed from a lot of things. The game looked good. It played well on the PlayStation 4, which is quite old hardware. Spider-Man PS4 really did come to take the cake in terms of just the game being so quality. However you judge things like story or the characters, I don't think that's necessary the major part of this particular discussion, but the voice actors seem to have done a very good job. That was a very interesting part of it. The music, the atmosphere was actually pretty cool, man. It was a Spider-Man game like no other Spider-Man game had been done. It felt like Batman Arkham Asylum when it first basically was released in the face of all the other old Batman games that were somewhat subpar. And I think that's pretty much what it is. Followed by that, Miles Morales eventually came out, which was also another interesting, cool game. A short concept. It really showcased some of the power from a second team working on another game, and that's the team that's working on Wolverine, by the way, for those of you who are interested in that game in the future. And that's actually something that's pretty cool. The game also was met with some really good success in terms of sales. It wasn't necessarily a record breaker, but it did a very good job. Other games like God of War 2018 as well really did take the cake in terms of sales, in terms of publicity, and all of the others. And if you can go back and look at the way these particular games that I'm mentioning really did resonate with the communities, I think it starts to help us look at what the expectations of the highest quality of video games being made, what those games played like, what they felt like, what their stories were like, and how their fans received them. It brings us now to the current present day. As of today, the 13th of May, it's been announced that Elden Ring has basically broken sales records from the Call of Duty of last year. So in the last 12 months, Elden Ring is the highest selling game, and this is a very huge achievement. In fact, the parent company of From Software reported that their projected sales as of this time was to have sold about 4 million copies. Yet, the sales tracking is showing that the game has sold over 13 million copies. Thereby, games journalists and most people around are tagging the game as mainstream. Now, think about a few things regarding Elden Ring. There are some similarities between Elden Ring and the Dark Souls games. In fact, some people have tagged it, and I think this is disparagingly or from the point of jealousy as, oh, Dark Souls just rehashed and reworked. But the truth is, most of us that played Elden Ring have never played a Dark Souls game before, even though the game has a lot of the Dark Souls elements. So the developers proved the concept that if you take from the strong points of older games and you really want to make something new for your community, you really have to make sure that everything is not necessarily too foreign for your core community, and then everything is not necessarily too out of reach for a potentially new community that you're trying to bring in. And when you look at the concepts and the principles that all these other games have applied in terms of their design, in terms of making similar aspects of other games or even their own games, and in the case of, say, Spider-Man, taking a lot of their notes from the Arkham games, and Elden Ring basically taking some of their core and fun concepts from their old Dark Souls games, I wonder how we can judge Gotham Knights in this particular atmosphere. You see, Gotham Knights right now has revealed its pre-order details, and I would love to pre-order, something like the collector's edition, which is $299 if you're buying it on the Xbox, or if you're buying it on the PlayStation, or $289, you get a $10 discount if you're pre-ordering it on PC. It sounds pretty good. It's it's a very interesting point to consider if you're really big fan, and many of us have already pre-ordered, by the way. Don't get me wrong, there's some of our community members that have already pre-ordered, and many people are still going to be pre-ordering. But what are your expectations for this particular game? Do you think Gotham Knights is going to smash records, or do you think it's going to meet records, or do you think it's going to fall below record sales and impact in the gaming scene out there? Now, this is a very interesting and important question to ask, because if we were asking these questions during the whole cyberpunk cycle, we would not have gotten what it is that we saw with the cyberpunk game. Remember, Cyberpunk 2077, one of the most hyped games that I had ever seen in my life, was pulled away from a major storefront. And yes, this was because of technical issues. I have to give that as a caveat, because I played it on PC and I had zero issues at all. Some people had a lot of issues on PC, don't get me wrong, but still, it just happened to be that the game did not necessarily deliver on a lot of the intended hype that the developers seem to have, maybe in a sense inadvertently allowed to fester, or maybe even added to those flames. Gotham Knights, on the other hand, it seems like we're in a position where the entire community is setting in with the reality of what this game is probably going to be. Now, check this out. When we talk about the criticisms, I usually see that many people in on all sides will say, well, I feel like the game is okay for me. I haven't necessarily seen a lot of reactions or responses that are actually praising what we've seen so far as exceptional. And I think this starts to give us exactly what level of game or what expectations we need to have by the time the game releases. Now, in terms of confidence, it goes back to that question, and it goes back to you all in the audience. Compared to these other games that I've mentioned, both in the superhero genre and even outside of the superhero genre, do you think that Gotham Knights is going to be a game that is a contender so far? I would love to hear your answers in the comment section. And, many people are going to disagree, so expect to see other comments that probably disagree with yours as we go through this conversation. I think it's really interesting. I guess I might share my own thoughts later, but I don't want to skew a lot. I just wanted to try my best to, provide as much as I could in terms of those other factors that will probably guide your answers to this question. So thank you very much for watching the video. I really do appreciate you guys so much, and hopefully we'll talk very soon. Peace out.